All right, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Real Estate Mixtape. Jason Brown, the Charlotte agent, in the house. And today we're going to start our new series, The Four Mistakes That Buyers Are Making in the Market. We'll zero in on Charlotte, but these can really be applied to pretty much any market, major city, that kind of thing. So after, let's say at the end, we're going to do this in a four-part series. I was going to do it like in one big buyer seminar and just have everybody come in and just give them all this information. But I decided to break it up over like four different episodes. So by the end of this, you should be well on your way to being a master at buying. You can call this a buying mastery class if you like. Totally free to join on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I believe I'm live on LinkedIn right now. So I'll be checking the lives on my phone, make sure that we're up and running and good. And today we're going to have a special guest, Brian Kovaleski. He's a preferred lender of mine, been working with him for years. A lot of my clients use Brian. They love him. He's just a wealth of knowledge. He knows what in the world he's doing. He knows what the world he's doing. So, four mistakes that buyers are making in the Charlotte market and how to avoid them. That's we're going to get into it, man. We are going to get into it today. So, let's bring up. Let me see if I'm just going to do a quick test. All right, that looks good there. And I'm going to bring Brian to the stage here in a second. So we want to make sure that his microphone is working, his camera's looking good. All right, I think there's Brian right there. How you doing, bud?
Doing great, man. Good morning, my friend.
Uh, Glad to have you back on. It's been a minute, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Love
Oh
these.
yeah, yeah. So happy to have you here. So let me see how I can have both of us there. Okay. You know what? My background looks just a little bit special there. I think it's a little much going on. So let's see. All right, that looks a little better. Yeah. All right. So for everyone watching, Brian's going to come in on one of the sub points, and for our point today, you'll see exactly what I mean here in a second. And he's going to teach you guys. It's just so valuable what you're going to be able to do after he gives you the equation, what you can figure out about your affordability. And this is not something that you'll need an agent to do, another lender to do for you. You'll be able to do this yourself. You'll be empowered to do it yourself. So, four secrets to buying in Charlotte, and four, I should say secrets, but let's call it four mistakes that people or buyers are making in the Charlotte market and how to avoid them. Number one, get to know your numbers. The first mistake that most buyers are making in the Charlotte market and any major market is they don't know their numbers. What do I mean by the numbers? Know your debt to income ratio, know how to compute your mortgage or what your mortgage would be on this particular home, that you're looking at. Know your affordability. And most of all, know your why. Why are you buying? And I know it sounds like a simple question, but I really encourage all of my clients. They do it. I encourage potential clients to do it. Figure out the why you're buying, because your why is going to dictate a large part of your experience when it comes to the buying process. All right. So first things first, how much does the home cost? Well, I'm about to teach you how to calculate the mortgage for the property, and you'll be able to do it in 60 seconds. Once you get it down, you'll be able to do it in 60 seconds. How would I know? So let's say there's a house. Here's an example. I have a listing currently, and this listing, 469.9. It's a beautiful home, and you're on Zillow, you're on homes.com, you're on realtor.com, or you're working with an agent, and this is a home that pops up on your feed, across your timeline. Heck, it may even pop up over social media if we're running ads. So let's take a look at the numbers, shall we? All right. get out a pen, people, pad, and we're going to walk through these steps. So let's say here's a home that you want, and would you all rather that I do just like instead of a kind of an off number like a 4699, let's just do it like a 450, all right? For our purposes of today. On your pad, I want you to write down 450. Okay. On your pad, people write down 450. Now, when it comes to figuring out what the mortgage is going to be, you first have to know the four parts of a mortgage. Write down the letters PITI. PITI. What does that stand for? Principal, interest, taxes, insurance. Okay. Those four components comprise your mortgage payment. So if someone says my mortgage is, I don't know, $1,500, my mortgage is $2,000, whatever have you, they're talking about the principal, interest, taxes, insurance. So far, so good, Brian? All right.
Looking great.
Now, and Brian and I have done this before, so I know I'm doing all this correctly. But anyway, and I've done this more times than I can count. Now, I want you to kind of circle the first PI, principal interest, and I want you to write loan by that. The principal interest portion of the PITI deals with the loan. So let's figure out what are going to be the principal and interest portions. Then we'll come back and we'll add in the taxes, we'll add in insurance, and then you'll have your mortgage. Quick point, this is for the purposes of knowing what the mortgage is going to be on any property that you're looking at. It does not include HOA, okay? If you're looking at condos or townhomes, the HOA is going to be most likely higher, even 3 times as much as if it were a single family home. All right. In order to calculate the principal and interest portion of our payment, of our mortgage, we're going to use this amortization chart. If you would like a copy of this, you can email me, jason@thecharlotteagent.com, or you can message me, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever have you. Amortization chart. This is a chart that we are going to use to discover what is going to be our loan factor number. You'll understand why we're going to use that loan factor number here in a second. The way that you go through this chart is you're going to look at the interest rate, which is there on the far left. And then we're going to find if we have, let's say, a 20-year mortgage, 30-year mortgage, what length of mortgage are you going to be using? Okay. If you have any questions, definitely put them in the chat. Let me check the YouTube. All right. Don't see any comments there or questions there. Don't see any on Facebook. All right. So we're good to go. All right. So Brian, for our audience, what are we looking like for interest rates right now?
Pick an interest rate of 6.5.
6.5. Okay. So everyone write down 6.5. We're going to go to our amortization chart here. And we're going to use a 30-year loan. That's the most common, loan type. So we find 6.5 on the left-hand side there. We're going to scroll across to the 30-year column, and you'll see that the loan factor is a 6.32. So you have 6.5. Just draw a line or a dash. I want you to put LF, loan factor, and I want you to write down 6.32. All right. If any questions, just put them in. Also, let me check the comments here on the streaming platform. Okay, so we're good. All right. Now, folks, what you're going to do is you're going to take the loan factor. The loan factor, we're going to multiply, just like in school when you had, pi, and you put in number, just hit that key and it puts into equation, kind of spits out a result. It's kind of the same thing here. We're going to take the loan factor 6.32. We're going to multiply this by every $1,000. Well, Jason, what do you mean? I have a very, very quick way for you to be able to do it. The house is $450,000. All I want you to do is take off the last three zeros. So if you take off the last three zeros, you're left with 450. Take the 450. Now let's multiply that. Bring up the calculator. 450 times 6.32 times the loan factor, and you'll get 2,844. That is your principal and interest payment for a 30-year fixed rate loan, 30-year fixed rate loan at a 6.5% interest rate. So we looked at our amortization chart. Bring that back. We found the interest rate that our lender was quoting us, 6.5%. We know we're going to do a 30-year fixed rate loan. So we go across to the 30-year, and we got the loan factor. The loan factor was 6.32. The house we're looking at purchasing is now let me give you a quick note. I'm not including down payment because you can put in a down payment. We'll take that off the price. Maybe some closing cost contributions from the seller. We get all that. We're just doing simple. This is the price. So I guess the way we can look at it is if your loan amount is a 450 rather than price technically. So if your loan amount is 450, because the price of a home can be, I don't know, $600,000. And if you're bringing $150,000 loan, down payment, then your loan is only going to be 450, right? And that's why so many people can afford a home well beyond their affordability because of down payment. Down payments cures all buying diseases. Let me say, cures all buying illness. A huge down payment solve a lot of problems. But anyway, nonetheless, if you want to say home price, loan amount, whatever. But let's just do home price. 450,000. Just cross out those last three zeros. You're left with 450. Or you can think of it as the first three numbers. 450 times. So you take that 450 times 6.32. That gives you 2,844. That's your principal and interest portion. Now, for the home that I brought up, the taxes on that one run you about $3,300 a year. So you take $3,300, divide that by 12, you get 270. We're going to add in the monthly taxes, 275, to the 2,844. That's the taxes. So we've done the PI, principal and interest. Now we're going to do the T, the taxes. Last I is insurance. Brian, what do you think we should put for insurance? I always try to put about 125 to 150. You think we should do it? That'll be okay?
I think that's okay. Insurance costs are going up, but I think that's a pretty good guess.
Pretty good guess. You want to do maybe like a 175 then?
Yeah. Beef it up a little bit.
Yep. I'd rather aim high and it come in lower than to aim low and it come in higher.
Absolutely.
All right. So our principal and interest, everyone, is $2,844. The taxes are $275 a month. We're adding in guesstimation of your homeowner's insurance of $175. Now let's add this all together. So 2844 plus 275 plus 175. That gets you $3,294. Right. This does not include homeowners insurance, nor does it include private mortgage insurance. So PMI, we're not looking at that. All right. Just your standard principal, interest, taxes, insurance. So when you add those three numbers together, you have a mortgage payment, $3,294. So if you want, and I'm going to use the term loan amount. I know I was saying price of home earlier, but let's say a loan amount of $450, and it's good that I kind of get you all thinking like that in the beginning, because you're going to bring a down payment. So if you're doing an FHA loan, the least amount that you're going to bring is 3.5%, which means that the lender is only financing 96.5% of the sales price. So if the home is $450 and you're getting an FHA loan, if you do that $450 times 3.5%, you're bringing a down payment of $15,750. Right? Just a little piece of lint on my mic. All right. $15,750 would be the down payment FHA loan for a home that's priced $450,000. How am I looking so far, Brian? How am I doing?
Spot on.
All right. If we're doing conventional, you want to do, let's say, our normal 5% for the conventional side. Yeah.
Yeah.
So conventional, let's say your down payment at a minimum is going to be what? Well, $450,000 house. What is 5% of that? It's $22,500. That's your down payment. $22,500. A lot of people like to go FHA if they can, because the down payment is lower. However, one of the things you want to consider when doing an FHA loan is you can only have one FHA loan at a time. So if you're going to use FHA loan on your first home, just know that if, let's say, you want to now buy another home and rent the first one out, cool. But you won't be able to get an FHA loan for that second one. You would need to refinance this first one into a conventional loan or to any other type of loan type, right? And then, so let's say my first home, I'm going to refinance that into a conventional loan. Then I can use an FHA loan product again for that second home. Right. Anything you want to add, Brian?
You're doing great. You're doing perfect.
All right. Very
You're out
good.
of a job.
Yeah. Funny. All right. So we have our amortization chart. Drop those last 3 zeros. Multiply with loan factor. If you don't have a home picked out, you're just thinking about buying and you want to go through this practice, this scenario, I would say for your taxes and insurance, just add $350. So once you've taken the loan factor, because you're looking at 30-year fix, you multiply it by that sales price or loan amount that you're trying to get to buy the home, right? Multiply that, you have your principal and interest, then just add $350 in there. That's your taxes and insurance, okay? I hope everyone's doing well. Let me check for any comments or anything, questions thus far. Let's see. Let's check the YouTube. Yep, I think we're looking good on YouTube. Very good. Let's check the Facebook. I'm going live on multiple pages on Facebook, so make sure we're good on that. And the LinkedIn, I think we're good on that. If you would like to join the broadcast, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to copy and paste. I'm going to put this in the comments. So if you'd like to jump on and ask your question, and you don't have, I have to be able to see you on camera. Um, we have a way to just unmute you if you don't want to come on camera. That's fine. But yeah, most definitely join the broadcast. Now we're going to hand it over to Brian, and he's going to discuss something that is very key that most people don't pay attention to. Most buyers don't pay attention to when it comes to buying a home, and when it comes to getting that loan. Most people are driven by credit score. And it's not that credit score is irrelevant. It does count. What counts more than the credit score when it comes to securing the loan? Your front end, back end ratios. They're going to look at your debt to income ratios. So Brian Kovaleski here is a branch manager with Nexus Mortgage. He's a good buddy of mine. He has been a great supporter of this firm. And for years and years, he's been servicing my clients. And I mean, just at the highest level of professionalism. And most of all, Brian knows what the heck he's doing. He asks all the questions that need to be asked in the beginning up front. He's not one of those lenders where you have, oops, surprise, 3 weeks in, a month in, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then all of a sudden he's coming back. Oh, we forgot this, or what about that? No, he asks all those questions in the front end as best he can, unless you're not telling the truth on something. Now, if you're not telling the truth, or you're not disclosing, if there's something going on with your credit or your bank account that I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, guys and gals, that you may not know is happening, but most of the time you do, especially if it's with that bank account. You know, with those deposits, with the little side hustle that you don't claim, but you put into your account, and there's $700, $1,000, $1,500 that can't be accounted for because you were cutting hair on the side or you were washing cars on the side, you know. But anyway, so Brian, take it away. Teach them about the front end, back end portions for their affordability getting the loan.
Absolutely. And this conversation may be a little oversimplified, but it'll be easy enough that you can do this. You can do this in your head. You can do it on the back of an envelope calculation. So a little bit of a simplified example, but this will be the concept that you take with you as you're looking at houses out there. So Jason's right. There's two ratios that we look at, a front end and a back end. And it's your debt to income ratio. It's all of your debt divided by your income. What is that ratio? What is that percentage? So the front end calculation is just the house payment. So you take your income, your gross income before taxes, before any write-offs, take your income, and then take the house payment. Jason just figured up on a $450 loan amount, the house payment is roughly $3,300. To put that on top, divide it by your income, your monthly income, and that's your front end ratio. And again, super oversimplified, but you're going to want your ratios to be less than 50% of your income. You want your debts to be less than 50% of your income. So
quick question, Brian. Yeah. When they're doing their income, so we had the home price $3,300. Are they looking at the gross or the net for their monthly income?
Gross. So if you get a paycheck, you get a pay stub, don't worry about the taxes and the Social Security coming out and things like that. Just, if you're hourly, it's what's your hourly rate times hopefully 40 hours a week times 52 weeks a year divided by 12. You know that math on your job, so you know what your monthly income is. That's it. That's your gross income. So divide your house payment by your gross income, and that's the front end ratio.
So let's say, what do you want to do for our monthly gross income amount for our example? You want to do?
If we're using this 450 example, use a monthly income of plug in $7,000 a month.
7,000. All right. So for those out there, $7,000 a month is roughly $84,000 a year. All right. So we're going to take 3,300 We're just rounding, giving you a nice round number of what the proposed uh, monthly mortgage amount is going to be for the house that we're looking at. It's our dream house, and we're so excited. And this is really good if you go to new constructions, go to new construction sites with your agent. But nonetheless, if you're looking at new construction, you can quickly figure out, what your mortgage is. Now that we have the mortgage 3,300, we're going to divide that by our monthly gross, which is in this scenario example $7,000. So let's take 3,300 divided by 7,000, and I'm walking through this as I want you all to walk this. Take out a pad, take out a pen or pencil, have your phone, calculator, boom. All right, so Brian, with that, we got 0.47.
That's a little high for a front end ratio. It may be doable. You may want a little more income. Now, when I say income, I'm talking about anyone who's on the loan. So if you don't have the income to get, we may want to go back and play with this and say, hey, we need $7,500 a month or $8,000 a month in income to afford this price house. Is there anyone that can co-sign with you? Do you work any overtime that we can give you credit for so that we can beef up your monthly income and bring that ratio down just a little bit?
And that's a good point, Brian, because I think some people, when they heard the $7,000, they were like, "Oh my gosh, I don't make $7,000." Well, if you're a married couple, we're combining that. We're combining that income, right?
Yeah.
We're combining that. So if the husband and wife is got 4,000, you got 4,000 together, you're at 8,000. So that's
now
high.
You're in the house. Exactly.
Yeah. So let's just for fun, let's take the 3,300 and let's say the income is 7,500. Let's see how much $500, how much that would move the needle here. How much of effect will it have on this ratio? So let's take the 3,300 divided by 7,500 now. 7,500. That gives you 0.44, and that's even 0.44.
I'll give you money with that ratio.
Say what now?
I'll give you money with that ratio. I'll give you a loan.
All right. So, and this is the front end.
It's the front end
that we're looking at.
It's just the house payment. Just the house payment divided by your income.
There we go. You got that, folks? Front end ratio is house payment. So if I were you all and taking notes, I would put FE front end equals HP house payment divided by MG monthly gross. Fair enough. I think that's a good way to formula to help you remember. FE equals HP divided by MG. Front end equals house payment, proposed house payment, divided by monthly gross. We saw that a difference of $500 in the monthly gross affected that front end ratio by 0.03. That was the effect. Took them from 0.47 down to a 0.45. Now, are we doing conventional loan with this example, or are we doing FHA, Brian?
You can do conventional for simplicity.
Conventional loan.
No mortgage insurance. Let's just assume the taxes and insurance on it, so the numbers are easy.
Okay. And for conventional loan, for that front end, you want it to be at like a 45% or lower?
Yeah.
Or, you can go up to a 50, but that may require more money or down or what have you.
Yeah, they'll want it in the lower 40s, lower to mid 40s.
Lower to mid 40s. All right, so let's put a 44 below. We'll just put 44 below. You could probably
it's a little oversimplified, but this will get you close when you're figuring out how much house you can afford.
Right. We're just using simple scenarios, guys and gals. Don't take this as God's law. If you have any questions, contact Brian. His number is there. You can contact me. We're just using simple scenarios. All right. So that's the front end. Now let's talk about the back end.
This is where the fun starts.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's situation is different. So the front end is just the house payment divided by your income. That was pretty simple to figure out those numbers. The back end is the house payment plus all the other debt that you have on your credit report. So what's on your credit report? Most people do not have utilities on their credit report. So not your water bill, not your cable bill, not your cell phone bill, not your rent. A lot of people have credit cards though. A lot of people have auto loans. A lot of people have student loans. So what you do is you add up those monthly payments. And you add that to the house payment and then divide that larger number by your monthly income. And that's, again, oversimplified, but that's the ratio that you want to keep below 50%. So in this, not to put words in Jason's mouth, but in this example, if you had, a $500 car and $200 in monthly credit card bills, I mean, that's very common in America, but you just added $700 to your $3,300 a month house bill. So you're at $4,000 a month in debt now. We'll divide that $4,000 by, what do you want to divide it by? The $7,000 in income or the $7,500 in income? I'll let you
choose. We can do the 7,000 first. We'll do both.
Divide it by 7,000. So what's 4,000 divided by 7,000?
So 4,000 divided by 7,000 gives me 0.57.
That's too high of a debt ratio. 57%, you're not going to get approved, generally speaking. I'm not saying it can't be done, but when you're doing this at home and you're just thinking in your head, that's going to be a little too high. So
and it's something to aim for because they can start this process now and say, okay, I'm looking to buy a year or 2 years from now. Hey, know thy number. That's rule number one we're doing. Know your number so you can start that now. Yeah,
absolutely. So what do you have control over to bring that ratio down? Well, like we played with on the front end, maybe you've got a cosigner or you have extra income that we can verify. Maybe you can, maybe you're right on the bubble and some of those are just little credit cards that we could pay off or pay down to give you a smaller monthly payment. But a lot of times the big thing that you have control over is, okay, well, now we just have to go find a slightly cheaper house. If my monthly debts on my credit report are set in stone, the only other lever that you have to pull and play with is, okay, well, we got to drop the price of the house so I get a cheaper house payment in that total back end number because my income's not changing. My debts aren't changing. The house is the only variable that we have to play with.
Yeah.
So instead of 450, maybe now you're down at 425 or 400.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where it comes in. And everyone's credit is different. Some people have no debts on their credit. Okay, well, your front and back end ratios are going to be the same then because you didn't add anything to the house payment on the back end.
Gotcha.
Some people have mountains of debt.
Right.
All right, let's talk about cosigners. Let's talk about how can we get creative with some of your debt.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's very true, Brian. And just for those listening, I did run the number. Let's say, well, we did let me do this, Brian. We did a $3,300 month, and then we added in the $500 car, $200 credit. Yeah, we can keep it that at 4,000. I was going to maybe add in a student loan payment because some people have that. But just for purposes, making it easy as you watching this or rewatching this, we'll just do car and credit card. Some of the other things, child support payment, student loan payment, medical bills, something else in collection, the furniture that you got, from such and such place and you're paying on that now. So, all right, so $4,000. I took that divided by $7,500 a month.
Mhm.
That gave us 0.53.
FHA will do that. I'll give you money. I'll give you money again for that.
Oh, so okay, so a 0.53, even though we're above 50%
Even
on
though
that.
you're above,
Okay.
50% is just a nice, easy number. You can do that in your head. You don't even need
Okay.
pen and paper for that. Are there exceptions to that? Yeah, you go a little higher
Mhm.
on both those ratios, but if you're
Gotcha.
just trying to do the quick down and dirty without
Mhm.
talking to a person like me,
Right.
50% would be a nice comfort level to keep the
Mhm.
numbers straight.
It's kind of a bullseye. You should
Yeah,
aim for this here, and yeah.
you don't
Okay.
want to be house poor anyway, right? So
Right. Right. And as a quick rule of thumb for everyone, we go back to the mortgage amount, right, which is initially for our example $3,300. For every $10,000 difference in your loan amount, that's going to shift that number. What about 50, $75? I'll say about $50 as a rule of thumb. $50. So that means that if your loan amount goes from 450 to 440, because we're now looking at a slightly less expensive house or cheaper house or lower costing house. If it goes down by $10, you save $50 on your mortgage. You know, so
well, let me tack something onto that comment, and I
okay.
know you're going to talk about this at some point, but that's an excellent point to keep in mind
Mhm.
when you're negotiating for the house. And I
Correct.
know this is a separate topic, and you're talking about getting seller paid closing costs. Like, well, this is a seller's market; they're not going to give you anything. We'll give them offer 10 grand over as long as it appraises. That
Mhm.
10 grand
Yeah,
extra is not going to move the needle a whole lot on your
that's
monthly
right.
payment.
That's
But if
right.
the seller gives you $8,000 that you don't have to bring to the table for your
Yeah.
closing cost, that's going to mean a whole lot more than those $63 a month.
Oh yeah, because the money the seller is giving you as closing costs, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, is coming. That's saving you money out of pocket. That's saving
Yeah.
you direct cash out of pocket. So if you can stand to go up to get the house you want, if you can stand to go up $10,000 in terms of the loan amount, and that's not going to move the needle in any kind of exaggerated way, why not go up $10,000? Then ask the seller for $8,000 back in closing costs, thereby saving you $8,000 cash.
We
Right?
get a lot of people that just go into it with the
Yeah.
mentality of, I got to
Yeah.
win. I got to lowball them and I got to get the best deal. Like,
Mhm.
no, that's the
That's not
wrong.
happening.
You're gonna lose
Yeah.
your dream house for $60 a month versus I'll give you $10,000. I don't
Mhm.
know which way I'm going, but you
Yeah.
do you.
And with the way things are going, Brian, uh, you know, me, I like to stay on top of the data and the status and the stats and the data. Right now for the Charlotte market, how much inventory do we have out there? Well, appreciate you, Andre Hatchett. Let me see. I think I can show the comments. Andre Hatchett says, "Keep feeding the streets. We're gonna do it, player." You know, right now in the Charlotte market, there's only like a month, 1.4
And what's
worth
a
of
normal market?
inventory. Worth of inventory, like 1.4 to 1.6 worth of inventory.
What's a normal market?
Oh, a heck of a lot more than that.
It's like
You want
6
at least,
months, isn't it?
yeah,
4 to
yeah.
6 months.
I mean, at least give me 4 months.
Yeah.
At least give me 4 months. So what is that? What are we talking here, people? We're saying that if we didn't add any more houses today, we just stopped adding houses. How long or how soon will we be able to sell the current supply that we have? It would only take you a month, let's say a month and a half. That's between 1.4, 1.6. It will only take us a month and a half to run through the entire housing supply. That's it. Normally, you want at least 4 months worth. That makes it pretty balanced. So We have crazy amount of people moving to Charlotte today. There are some people moving out, but not nearly as many as people, the amount of people moving here. And they're moving here in droves. That's why in Charlotte, you'll find apartment buildings going up like crazy. You'll find apartment buildings going up everywhere because there's so many people moving here. The demand is high. The inventory, right? The supply is low. That does what? Encourages prices to continue to go up.
And Jason, you
Yeah.
just beautifully and perfectly explained why absolutely no one is predicting a housing crash,
Yeah.
because there's
Yeah.
not enough supply.
It's not a
The
supply.
demand is through the roof. Interest rates will do what they're going to do, but if you're waiting on the fence, and tragically, we've seen this for the past few years, if
Mm-hmm.
you think the price of houses are going to hit rock bottom like they did back in 2008,
No way.
not going to happen.
No
It's a
way.
different environment.
Yeah.
Simple supply and demand. It's
Yeah.
get your house now and start building that wealth and that appreciation.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Because the only way that prices are going to drop is if you have this mass entrance of inventory. And the
Builders won't
only,
do that. It's too
no,
dangerous. They got burned too much in the last
no,
downturn. So they're going to
yeah.
play their cards very close to their chest. It's going to be kind of just in time inventory, and
Hmm.
they're not going to overextend themselves and
Yeah,
get
I like the
caught
way you said that. It's gonna be
like
a
they were
just in
last time.
time kind of inventory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the builder's not going to do it. And one of the things that also affect the prices, two factors when it comes especially to new construction. Number one, the price of materials has gone up. So that contributes to your new construction pricing steadily going up. It's the cost of materials. I actually have three things. Number two, it's so hard to find land and to turn that land over and get it developed, like get it bought, get it developed, meaning primed and ready for building. That process is not a quick process. So when there was a lull where you didn't have a lot of construction, but you had a lot of people transitioning, now a whole mass entrance of people into the Charlotte and surrounding markets, whether it's Pineville, Valentine, Matthews, Concord, Kannapolis, Belmont, Stanley, Gastonia, Indian Trail, Waxhaw. The list goes on, people. So many people moving to these areas in and around Charlotte. Well, the new construction was lulled. It didn't keep up. Now it's trying to catch up. It can't find land fast enough. It can't find the land. If it does, it takes time for it to turn over. What you got to cut down trees, you got to go in there and really clear it out. Well, before you even do that, you got to get all your plans and permits and everything, for that city/county approved. So then that's taking time. Meanwhile, people are still moving to Charlotte. Number three, they're running out of contractors, electricians, plumbers, people to do the foundation, framing, putting the roof on, the drywall. It's like there's a shortage in the market in terms of workers, of contractors, and you have so many builders in the Charlotte area pulling on all these limited number of contractors. I tell you right now, if you were if you were an electrician or you were a plumber, if you have a trade, that skill set, Charlotte may be the place for you. Do your research, but Charlotte may be the place for you where you're going to get a lot of work because these new home builders, right? These companies, they need tradesmen and tradeswomen. Am I right, Brian, on that?
I'm not here to get political, but if you kick out the group of people who would normally have those skill sets, yes,
Yeah.
you're going to have a labor crunch. You're going to
Yeah.
be in a, it's going to, and the remaining labor is going to be more expensive. So your
Yeah.
house price goes up.
Exactly. So, that electrician, that plumber is going to charge a little more because, you
You've
know,
got no other options.
you got no other option. Their
Right.
skill set is in high demand
Yeah.
and there's low supply. So that's
Mhm.
why your price rises. All right. So we've gone over let's review on what we've gone over. Let me bring up our slide and let's go back here to the first part. I'm gonna change that. I did have secrets to buying in the Charlotte market, but I'm gonna change that to the 4 mistakes and how we can avoid them. The first mistake that many buyers are making is that they don't know their numbers. They don't know what the um, possible mortgage is going to be. They don't know their front end back end ratios. How much does the home cost? Well, how to calculate your mortgage in 60 seconds. We went through that. We used our amortization chart. You drop the last 3 zeros, multiply with your loan factor, you add in your taxes and insurance. For our purposes, what we did today was our mortgage uh, amount was 3,300. Then Brian took it away and showed you about your front end back end ratios. The front end ratio. What is the formula for calculating your front end ratio? FE front end equals your HP divided by your MG. What is your HP? That's your um, home price, or I would say house payment, not
House
home price,
payment.
excuse me, house payment. That's your 3,300 divided by your MG. That's your monthly gross. Monthly gross. Our house payment was 3,300. We divided that by a monthly gross 7,000. That gave you a 0.47. You want that front end to be in the lower 40s. They can work with you, you know, case by case scenario. But if you're aiming, just set the bullseye to try to get it around 44, 0.44. Then we did the back end. What is the formula for back end? BE equals HP plus your DT. That's your debt, right? So we looked at your monthly, what is your mortgage, your house payment, your HP, your monthly mortgage, is 3,300. We added in some debt. For our purposes, we added in a car payment a month, $500 a month, $200 credit card payment a month. That equals 700. So 3,300 plus the 700 gave us 4,000 of debt. And Brian, when they do that, they're looking at what is your debt going to be after you get this house. We're looking in the future and say,
Right.
okay, can this person afford this loan if they were to have this monthly mortgage amount plus the debt that they have? Can they afford it? And their way of doing that is by adding that um, monthly mortgage plus the debt divided by the gross again, $7,000. That's going to give you a percentage. Now, in our example, that gave a percentage of 0.57. Well, for that back end, you want that to be 50% or lower. They can play with it a little bit. FHA, if you're like at a 0.53, they can work with you on that. Um, all right. We good, Brian?
That's great, man. Always fun. Appreciate you having me here.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks everyone for joining us. And we're going to be back with the second mistake that most buyers make. You definitely want to tune in with that because it's going to deal with your family members, people in your ear, your sources of information. How is that just messing all y'all up?
Uh,
You're not going to like me after that one. Some of y'all won't like me. Some of you all will love me because I'm going to give you the I'm going to give you permission to stop listening to a whole bunch of people that in your heart of hearts, you know, you really shouldn't be vibing with anyway. Should be listening to them. So, oh yeah. So we're going to take it back to the music here. Thank you so much, Brian, for stopping through, man. You
Thanks
want to let
again, bud.
anyone know about any more contact? We got your phone number there. You want to give them your email address?
My email is bkovaleski@nexamortgage.com. So what you see there on the screen there is bkovaleski@nexamortgage.com.
All right, very good. All right, so appreciate you so much, Brian, and thank everyone for joining us here. Man, this is great. We're empowering you so you know your numbers, so you can be able to look at a house and determine what the mortgage amount's going to be. You're already going to be able to determine now. I should say already now. That was crazy. And you will be able to determine now your front end, back end ratios. Whether you get an FHA loan or conventional loan, you're going to be good to go. So appreciate y'all joining me today. And yeah, we did it in what, 50 minutes? Wow, that's great. I try to keep it like 45 minutes, even though I block out like the whole hour for you guys. Much love to you guys, man. And also, please check out our sponsor, www.faithgear.shop. Great athleisure apparel, faith-based, inspiration-based. You'll love it. Faithgear.shop. Definitely check them out. And yeah, man, much love to everybody. I'm going to bring the background up here, and I'm going to exit out. Peace.
So tell you